We want to ensure that every person is remembered and every sacrifice is honored. And in doing so, we come here every third Friday in the month of September to honor those who are prisoners of war and those who are missing in action. Their families still need us to do what we do in order to ensure that their memories are alive and that we let them know through our own spiritual connections that the door for home is open and you can always return home. There is no last moment for those who are missing. There is nothing that you can say to the family, but what you say to that spiritual energy is welcome home. Welcome home, brothers. Welcome home, sisters. We have to make sure we do that in remembrance and make sure that we hold them in the light. As you hear their stories today, I sincerely hope you take some of it to heart, if not all of it. For all of you who are veterans, understand the sacrifice and the price. And we will move that forward. And we will continue to move it forward every year. We'll have the colors now, post the colors. Thank you for rising. This is the U.S. Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, Junior ROTC.
March time! March! Color guard, go! Set your face! Freeze! Set! March!
That's from the Military Academy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, those broad stripes and the bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Molly Char, Madison Reith from Temple's United States Army Reserve Officers Training Corps, Red Diamond Battalion, will do the missing man table.
Good afternoon. My name is Cadet Molly Char, and this is Cadet Madison Reed. We are Temple University's Army ROTC cadets. This is to honor our missing in action and prisoners of war. As you entered the memorial, you may have noticed a special table. It is reserved to honor our missing service members. Let the empty chair represent Americans who were or are missing from each of the services: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, and civilians, all with us in spirit. Let me explain the meaning of this table, and then join me for a moment of silent prayer. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of the motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose reminds us of these Americans' lives and their loved ones who keep the faith while seeking answers. The single yellow ribbon reminds us of the single yellow ribbon symbolizes our continued uncertainty, determination for their return, and hope.
A slice of lemon reminds us of the bitter fate, captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families, who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, found it as one nation under God. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast. The chair is empty. It represents the missing. Now let us all pause for a moment of silence.
Now we move on to remembering the 10 missing in action at our wall. And first of all, I direct you to Sandy with the information about the 10 that are still missing and their pictures. The Vietnam War, about prisoners of war, POWs, and MIAs from all wars as America focused on the fate of the U.S. servicemen who have been captured during the conflict. With the Paris Peace Accords of 1973 ending the U.S. involvement in the war, 591 American POWs were returned. The United States at that time listed about 1,800 missing Americans whose remains were still not recovered, or MIA. The National Defense League of Families, NLF, formed in 1970, is the principal advocacy group for the POW-MIAs, and it's comprised of relatives of military servicemen who were missing or had been prisoners in Southeast Asia. The NLF advocated for a representative symbol and chose the design of Newton Measley, a former World War II pilot. The design, which is the flag above, it depicts a silhouette of a man's head in barbed wire and a watchtower in the background, with a model below, "You are not forgotten," resulting in the familiar flag widely known and flown today. The League successfully advocated for a national POW-MIA Recognition Day, always on the third Friday each September, or today for 2025, to remember, quote, America's responsibility to do everything in its power to account for those who are missing or captive, unquote. In 1990, the 101st Congress officially recognized the POW-MIA flag, designating it, quote, a symbol of our nation's concern and commitment to resolving as fully as possible the fates of Americans still prisoners, missing, and unaccounted for in Southeast Asia, thus ending the uncertainty for the families and the nation. Public Law 101-355. The Philadelphia Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund Board of Directors is honoring all POW-MIAs from Vietnam because it was the last war in which large numbers of Americans were imprisoned or listed as missing. There are 19 POW-MIAs honored at the memorial, of which the remains of 9 former MIAs have been recovered, while the remains of the 10 missing with their pictures here are still unaccounted for.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for putting up with the beautiful sunshine. First of all, I'd like to recognize the Ashlock family, who comes to every ceremony we have. not only to honor all veterans, but especially for Carlos Ashlock, Major's brother. Carlos Ashlock, MIA, May 12, 1967. Carlos disappeared as darkness fell after day-long combat in a valley near Kaesong, Quang Nam
Of Lima 85 project, a high resolution radar system for bombing missions. A ground attack of the site by the NVA, North Vietnamese Army Battalion, resulted in 12 MIAs, including Herbert Kirk. He was from Northeast High School. Stephen Yukonek, President, Liberty Bell, Chapter 266, Vietnam Veterans of America in Philadelphia, shared news earlier this year with several local veterans organizations that a fellow MIA soldier, Sergeant Willis Hall, remains were recently found and accounted for by the Defense POW-MIA Accounting Agency, known as DCPA, on June 23rd, 2025, all these years later, where it's identified. His email also ended mentioning that Herbert Kirk's remains missing and suggested DPAA go back to the site to find more remains. Patrick Hughes, who's here today, Patrick, be recognized, who is an advocate for POW-MIA issue and also the Rolling Thunder Incorporated national photographer, has contacted DPAA for us, management, to the end of August of this year, and was told they are deploying in January 2026 a mission at Lima Site 85. They're continuing to try to find remains for the Ashlocks, for everyone. I think that's saying something. Our country does that.